If you have not had the avocado fries here, they are amazing. The aioli that comes with them is awesome. You guys should totally check that out. This is like one of my favorite spots from like the time that I've like spent here and everything. So thank you for the awesome introduction and everything. So today I'm going to be talking about how to create content that sells. So that's me, in case it wasn't obvious. So I run a company called ZenMaid. I think I should actually check on this. Yeah, okay, we'll just jump to the My Story slide. So essentially I started a company called ZenMaid. We provide software for maid services. It is very, very niche. I started my own maid service about 7 years ago, ran it for approximately 14 months before selling my ownership, like my shares or whatever, to my business partner at the time. Another friend approached me, felt that we had very good complementary skill sets, and we started with this software company. And so from there, what happened was I had obviously spent 14 months actually running a maid service, and so just because I didn't have much to do with my time, I started writing a couple of articles and creating a couple of basic resources to help our target customers. And that was like, I didn't really think twice about it. The first example of that when it came to content marketing was that most maid service owners should be trying to rank their maid services on Google AdWords. So I had done all of the research. I knew all of the keywords that every maid service should be trying to rank for, and I put them into a spreadsheet and offered them as a free download. And that was essentially ZenMaid's introduction into content marketing, which is what the talk is about. And so from there, the content that we have created has generated tens of thousands of visitors, of readers. We have had over 10,000 people that have given us their email list. For those of you that follow big names online, maybe those numbers sound small, but we are a business-to-business company, and so every single customer that we sign up out of those people is worth anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 like to us. And so we don't need like millions of people on our subscriber list to make a lot of money, essentially, right? We just need the right people, and we need them to be seeing the right content, which again is what I'm going to be talking about here. So yes, content wins. We've had 10,000 downloads that for what are called lead magnets. You enter your email, you get a free resource. We recently added into our funnel, hang on.
Let's see our other sponsor, AirAsia.
One more time?
Let's see our other sponsor.
The other sponsor, AirAsia, yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, so we've had over 10,000 people that have opted into our email list. I'm weirdly proud of the second number, which is that 3,000 of those people have subsequently opted out, which tells me that I'm quite aggressive with my email marketing. So that makes me happy in an odd way. But we recently added in a info product, so it's essentially more content, but this time that we are selling. And that info product funnel that we have put into place is now helping us to actually cover our ad spend, which is something that I can talk about afterwards. So quick question for you guys. How many people here have heard of Gary V or Gary Vaynerchuk? He has content everywhere. If you're on Snapchat, you've probably gotten a dick pic from him. He's just everywhere. So, okay, how many people here have heard of Scott Oldford? 2 people, okay. So the reason that I'm asking you guys about those two is these are two guys who do content marketing very, very well, and I've essentially adapted a lot of what I've learned from the two of them. There's a lot more people to credit. That's really doing a lot of people injustice, but if I could essentially credit sort of what I'm about to show you guys in the strategy that ZenMaid has actually implemented, it would really come down to these guys, Scott Oldford and Gary V. So Gary V, for those of you, I'll leave it on that slide since you guys know who he is. So Gary V, he puts out just a ton of content all over the place about all sorts of different things. You may follow him because he's into wine. You may follow him because he's into business. It could be because he likes sneakers. There's a bunch of different things. He's one of the best content marketers on the planet, along with Tim Ferriss and a couple of other guys. And then Scott Oldford, who I'd asked about, who very few people have heard of, he specializes in essentially using content to actually get people to pull out their wallets and to pay you, whether that's for software, whether that's for coaching, whether that's for other info products, whatever it may be. And so a lot of you haven't heard of him because he works with people in very specific niche industries like mine, and essentially helps people to find those audiences of maybe 2,000 or 20,000 people, and then to find actual customers who will pay them to live a nice lifestyle, you know, out of those. And so that's why I'd want to just ask about those two. So in this, we're going to cover, I hope I'm not over-promising here, but what content to create first for any of you guys that have thought about doing content but don't know where to start, how to brainstorm content ideas, example content that'll mainly be coming from ZenMaid, content promotion strategies. This is something that we have down really well, and essentially how to make it so that your content is not just for you, I guess. You know, like no one likes content that's just like their daily journal, right? I mean, assuming that no one reads it. And then why thinking like a media company is the key to your content marketing success. So let's see, yeah, so there's essentially three kinds of content that I'm going to talk about, and I'm just going to go over those really quickly and then come back to these slides. So how to create content that really sells, content for everyone that you can possibly help, content for those showing interest in the problem that you specifically solve, and content for your customers. So to continue with the ZenMaid example, so we have, or actually, does anyone want to throw out an example, maybe like your actual business? Can someone tell me who their target customers are? I'll do this with someone's like business right now. Anyone? Volunteers? Yeah?
Elite sportsman.
What is it?
Elite sportsman.
Elite sportsman, okay. So professional sportsman, okay, cool. So we're gonna go with an example right now for professional sportsmen. Okay, so that's, okay, that's a cool example. So I think that what we're gonna do is we're going to, it was actually, would it be elite sportsman or also like aspiring elite sportsman? Aspiring as well, right? Trying to get to that level. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with a promo for AirAsia. Okay. So essentially, if you think of your content marketing strategy like a target, I should really have a target image somewhere here in the presentation, but didn't think of that ahead of time. If you think of it like a target with the different rings, you've got the bullseye, and then you've got the outer ring, and then the furthest like out ring or whatever, you can think of that as what we're talking about here. That when you hit the bullseye, it's when you have content that is absolutely perfect for your perfect customer, the person that's gonna pay you a bunch of money to help them, to solve their problems, all of that stuff. Then you've got just outside that, which is people that are showing interest but have not pulled out their wallets yet, and then you have like the widest sort of ring of like the bullseye, which is or not the bullseye, whatever, the dartboard, which is essentially content for everyone that you can possibly help. And so if we're going to go with the elite sports example, what we would start with, or sorry, not what we would start with, sorry, what you guys start with is going to be completely dependent on your situation. We'll get to that in a second, but content that is going to be for everyone that you can possibly help. You're going to brainstorm ideas that would be relevant to essentially any elite sportsman or anyone that was trying to become that. So whether that's a free training program that they can take and can customize to themselves and put into action immediately, that would be something that you would want to create for like that sort of target market. Right? Does that make sense? And so with something like this, what you are trying to do is the content for everyone that you can possibly help. The key here is that the majority of the people that are going to be reading this content are not likely to already be familiar with you, with your brand. And again, this applies to everyone, whether you're a software brand, coaching, freelancer, whatever. This content that you're going to be creating is going to be for people that may not be as familiar with you as just some of your diehard fans that maybe haven't given you any money yet. So why is that important? That's important because you want to tailor all of your content to where the person is essentially in the buying cycle. And so if, for example, and this is a mistake that a lot of people make, if, for example, you give away a free ebook that's 100 pages of your best content and you give it away 100% for free for people that have never heard of you, so you're running, let's say, a Facebook ad to it, and it's to cold traffic people that just aren't familiar with who you are, the chances of them actually spending the time to read 100 pages is not likely. So with this sort of content, what you want to do instead is you want to find content that's very valuable, but can be implemented quickly. That someone that is not familiar with you doesn't want to spend more than 5, 10, 15 minutes at the most, essentially seeing whether you can help them. And so that's validating essentially your ability to help them and building trust with them in a very short amount of time. So the example that I gave earlier for ZenMaid with the 47 keywords that every maid service must know for Google, that's something they can download, and if they know what they're doing, then they can copy and paste those keywords and they can get a value out of something that we gave them very quickly. So that's why with this example with the elite athletes, doing something like a workout program or a training program that they can take, open up a PDF, print, and very quickly get value out of it is going to be what you're going to want to be creating for like everyone that's in your possible niche. If you guys are thinking about this and like don't have anything like that in mind, just wait until the Q&A. Let me know. I'd be happy to go over like your specific market and help you to come up with ideas. So that is essentially what you want to be doing with content for everyone. You can sometimes hide that behind an email wall. You can use that to get the person's contact information and to then follow up with them. I highly recommend that. That would be called a lead magnet, but it's not necessary, right? The point is to add value to them in a very short period of time, right? And so that right there is the main difference between the content that you create for people that are in your target market but have maybe never heard of you. So for ZenMaid, for example, we sell management and scheduling and automation software, but a ton of our content is around marketing. We have like the ultimate guide to marketing your maid service on Instagram, and on the surface that has nothing to do with the product that we sell, but if we run ads for that for cold traffic, every single person that goes to that page or gives us their email, we know that they've raised their hand and said, hey, I'm a maid service, I could potentially use your product. And so that's really the goal of content for everyone that you can possibly help, and that's a big reason that you do want to ask for their email address, though again, it's not 100% necessary. The idea is really to get people engaging with that content to go, hey, you can try to sell to me, right? And so that's really what you're looking to do with that content. So the next content that you're going to do is you're going to do content that is for people that are showing interest in your product. So if it's for elite athletes and you have someone that's already given you their email address, they are already using one of your workouts effectively, now doing something like an ebook and sending them something that's like, 100 pages on how to address weaknesses in their physique for like maximum like speed or efficiency or whatever it might be, right? That's where they'll have more patience for longer form content, right? And this can be something that it can be just as short as the first thing that you sent, but the time to implement will be longer and usually more impactful than the first set of content that we had gone over. So I'm not sure how much, trying to think if there's anything else really to like talk about there. Like this is where essentially for ZenMaid a lot of our longer guides are, that Instagram guide that I mentioned, ebooks that we've created, white papers, webinars are somewhere in between because people can jump on for like 30 minutes or an hour depending on how long like your webinar is. But ZenMaid, for example, has some presentations that are 3 or 4 hours, right? And if we were to try to get cold traffic to sit through 3 to 4 hours of me talking or of Courtney from my team talking and they don't know who we are, it's not likely to happen. Whereas, today I jumped on a Facebook Live and didn't have a topic set, and a bunch of people jumped on and joined me because they know me well enough that they just wanted to hang out in like US evening or whatever. So it takes time to build those relationships. Is that clear for you for like the elite athletes and stuff? Is that good? Okay. Let's see, cool. And then the last thing, or not the last thing, I mean, you can really go even deeper into this, that I'm just going over sort of the 3 like major content like buckets here, but the last one would be content that would be for your actual customers. This is where I actually recommend starting, that if you have someone that's already paying you money, and it really doesn't matter how much, like the fact that they're willing to pay you $5 a month, $10 a month, or $5,000 if you're like actually, working for them as like a consultant or whatever it may be. The content for customers is much more likely to be consumed. This can be more about your product. It can be more about how to get the best results from the services that you're offering, but you will get people that'll be very, very gung-ho and will pretty much read absolutely everything that you put out there. Now with this sort of content, if you were to just put that out, so an example would be like how to use ZenMaid's reporting system to the best of your ability. No one that isn't using ZenMaid is ever going to care about that. But what we do for ZenMaid is we actually start there. Hang on. Okay. So yeah, so what I was going to say is, so with this is the sort of thing that I've personally found that it's easiest to actually create this sort of content when you're first getting started, that being able to think about, okay, here's one person that I'm working with and I'm going to write this article that's just going to help them with one specific problem that they're having. I've always found that as like the best strategy to actually come up with content. But what we do for ZenMaid is we'll oftentimes write an article like how to get the most out of your like marketing reports in ZenMaid, and then from there we can work our way backwards to, for example, the marketing reports that every maid service needs to know, right? And that would be something that we could take back and could share with people that were still showing interest and use that to actually close people. We could even go further than that, and if we wanted to like take that idea backwards to content that that could help everyone that's in like our target market, we could take that and go the 3 KPIs that every maid service must know, or like their business is going to go up in flames, or whatever we want to do like to sell it, right? And so that would be like a strategy there. But when it comes to content for customers, this is really more about the kind of stuff that's going to make the people paying you get like their money's worth. So how am I doing on time? Plenty of time? Okay, cool. Okay.
40 minutes to make.
Okay, any questions, I guess, on that just quickly? Otherwise, I'm going to go back and just make sure I covered this stuff. Any quick questions? Or wait till after? Wait till after? Okay, sounds good. So, okay, so I'd said that we were going to go over what content to create first. Raise your hands if you guys have thought about doing content like for your businesses or for your personal brands. Yeah, okay. And keep your hands up if you are actually doing that. Or sorry, if you're creating as much content as you want. Put it that way. If you posted one post in the last year, you can put your hand down. How many people here are actually creating as much content as they want? Okay, cool. So, okay, so what I wanted to just like help you guys with, for those of you that put your hands down and are looking for like a little bit of motivation here. So a lot of people try to figure out what's the best content to create first. What content should I go ahead and do? I feel like the answer is different for everyone, but my opinion is that it doesn't matter. That what you should do is you should put out content that is essentially already in your head. So for me, we stumbled across content marketing because I had already done this research and just decided to put it out there in the world for other maid service owners to download, which would have been, you know, those Google AdWords. If I hadn't done that research, I would have never thought about it. So if you guys are thinking about what content should I create first, instead think what content can I create the easiest, or what content is already in my head, because the order that you create content is a lot less important than people think, right? That once you've started creating and you get into a good groove, then you can decide, okay, this is the next most important piece, this is the next most important piece, depending on like where your funnel is and stuff like that. But if you're just getting started, the key is to just get started. So I hope that's not like oversimplifying, but that's what definitely worked for me. It's just, you know, ask yourself what question can you answer that's going to help your potential like customers, you know, as much as possible, and then just go write it or record a video or like or whatever, you know. Like for me, this is content creation right now, even though I'm not selling any like content creation services or anything like that. That like we're recording like this video, we can turn it into an article later, we can turn it into a blog post, all of that stuff. So I guess that's actually another thing, is like how you create the content is also a lot less important than you think. It's really more important that you start helping your target audience. So yes, that is what content to create first. How to brainstorm content ideas. This is really simple. It's just join Facebook groups that have your potential customers in them, or if they're not Facebook groups, if it's forums, stuff like that, and just see what questions people are asking. So for ZenMaid, I know that we have a major gap in like what's the best vacuum for maid services, right? It's very interesting stuff. This is what I spend my days researching, is like shark vacuums versus, what's the one they sell door to door? Kirby's? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so essentially it's just go to your customers and figure out what questions they're actually asking. If you have a service where you're talking to your customers, you can also just see what they're asking you about. That for ZenMaid, even though we're a software company, we get a surprising number of very random questions about like, I'm struggling to hire this person, what should I do? And so like half the time you can just take that and turn it into a topic for an actual like blog article. But yes, if you're trying to create content, there's a ton of ideas out there. There's a ton of ways to create stuff. So I would, yeah, definitely recommend that. And again, if you guys want to just bring that up in Q&A, if you have any questions about what you should specifically be creating, I'd be happy to brainstorm with you during the Q&A or after if you come find me. I'll be sitting over in this general vicinity. Okay, so I think we had 3 people in the back that had said that they're already creating like enough content they're already like happy with. For those of, I know it's you two, and I think there was someone else. Are you guys happy with your content promotion? What's your content promotion strategies like? Just shout it out.
I'm happy about the promotion.
Yeah.
But your question is like, we're never happy about how much content we produce.
Yeah. There can always be more, right?
So I kind of hesitate to raise my hand, but I feel like I produce 2 to 3 videos per week.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, like with them already.
Yeah.
And my audience is pretty happy about that.
Okay.
So that's why I raised my hand.
Okay, cool.
I would create more citizen content.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, so I was just asking that quickly, just to see what people are doing. So obviously, when it comes to like content promotion, it's like all of the various social media and stuff. But the main thing that we've started doing differently at ZenMaid, this is probably an entire like other talk. I have like a complete other like slideshow about this specifically with content promotion. Is essentially repurposing content, or not repurposing, but thinking about where your customers actually are when they're consuming your content. And so by that, what I mean is that people do not tend to go onto Facebook and to be scrolling through Facebook to watch a educational video, whether that's about their business, whether that's about your service or whatever. They're not usually looking to do that on Facebook for an hour, right? That just think about the last time that you guys got pulled into a video for that long on Facebook, right? Think about the last time that happened on Twitter or LinkedIn or Snapchat or whatever. But if someone goes to YouTube, for example, they're much more likely to be looking for a documentary, right? We can't advertise on Netflix, unfortunately, but if we could, that would be nice as well. And so one of the things that ZenMaid has started doing is that we record what's called pillar content. So that would be actually a presentation like this, where it's approximately an hour long. That full 1 hour video goes on to YouTube. But then what we do is we take the video and we cut down in different segments for a 1 minute video for Instagram, 2 minutes and 20 seconds, I think, for Twitter. I forget how long it is, 5 minutes for LinkedIn. And we go through and pull out different highlights. And so this is something that I was saying that when I mentioned Gary Vee earlier, he's like one of the best at doing this with repurposing content. But that's a really good way that obviously takes more resources. We have a team. Fran here does video for ZenMaid. Erica next to her writes, and Josh, who's looking at the menu there, is my moral support. But we go through and repurpose the content, and so we go really deep into what people are actually going to be scrolling through their feeds when they see it. And so we'll have a lot of 1 minute videos where it's like, here's a quick clip on automation, go to this URL to watch the full hour video, and then whenever they're ready, they go and they do that. Or we'll, looping this back around, we'll do that with a lead magnet, where we'll have a 1 minute or a 2 minute or a 5 minute clip, and then they can enter their email address to opt in for the full 1 hour video. And so that's just something, I don't know, that took us a lot of time. Like I said, we started ZenMaid 6 years ago. We didn't really get our shit together until And we haven't yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But we were just creating content sort of blindly for probably the first 2 or 3 years, and only in the past year or two has it really turned into like a real like strategy that we're constantly building it out. You know, we've got all sorts of processes around the content promo, the ones that take off, the clips that work really well. Those then get targeted with paid ads. So anytime like 100 maid service owners like a specific video, we'll put in a couple $100 and make sure a couple thousand more maid service owners will see that specific video. So yeah, I think that's all. And then, oh yeah, okay, so last thing that I've got on here is why thinking like a media company is key to your content marketing success. I feel like I probably should have said this before at the beginning of the talk, but content marketing is really for everyone. It's for like every business. It's a way for you to demonstrate to the world in like a one-to-many communication platform that you're an expert at whatever it is that you want to help people with, or not even that you're an expert. If I say you're an expert and you like cringe inside and go, okay, but I'm not an expert, that's perfectly okay. If you're able to help other people because you're a little bit ahead of them, that's totally cool. Own it, put content out like around that. So yeah, don't want to like want you to feel too much tension like there, but essentially thinking like a media company is really going to be the key to your marketing like in the future. So for ZenMaid, we think about ourselves as almost two separate companies. We have the media company, which essentially just puts out a ton of content. We work with partners, we have influencers that write guest posts. We essentially have like our own online magazine. And then the second part of the company happens to be our software, which is why people essentially create us to pay why people pay us to create all of this content. So really all of our content marketing is just that, it's the marketing, and then people pay us for the software when they eventually discover it. But of course, if our software sucked, we wouldn't make any money. So I guess we're sort of a software company, but that's how we approach like our marketing. So yeah, said that. And I think that's all. I don't know. Yeah.
Would you like to ask any questions? Sure.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. Which apps or scheduling tools do you recommend to schedule and feed the content that you produce?
Okay, so I have not evaluated the tools in some time because it's a headache for us to switch that sort of thing. But the one that we use is Meet Edgar, and Meet Edgar I particularly like. So Meet Edgar and Planoly, those are the two. So Planoly is how we schedule all of our I think Instagram posts and Facebook posts. But then Meet Edgar is the one that I would recommend because it allows you to recycle content. So what you can do is you can say every Friday I want to post to Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook with a testimonial, right? Like a testimonial image about my product or my service, and you can upload 20 or 30 testimonials into a category, and it'll just every Friday it'll put one, and then when it runs out after 20 or 30 weeks, it'll just recycle and just do it again. So we've been building that up for couple of years now, and I think ZenMaid now posts, I don't know, 5 times a day, something like that, on various like social media to just all of the different pieces of content that we've created. So I mean, other ones that I know off the top of my head would be like Hootsuite and trying to think what the other one is. Yeah, I don't know, but Meet Edgar is the one that we use personally. So, and that's why I don't know anyone else that recycles content like that.
Amar, how closely linked is your content management plan to your search engine optimization strategy?
So it's like a mix. That I've always thought that the best like SEO strategy is to just have the site that gets the most engagement. So to me, I've always thought about it as if you write really valuable content that people stay on the page for, eventually every one of Google's updates is going to naturally pull people towards like those articles. So we do some keyword research. We do pick some of our content topics around keyword research, but I wouldn't say that we focus on it too much. We have a Facebook group of 4,000 maid service owners, so most of our content is created focused around them, and then maybe 20% is more SEO motivated.
What is your take on ephemeral content, stories, stuff that disappear after 24 hours?
I've got really mixed feelings about those. It's really painful for me to create content and then to have it disappear after 24 hours. Like, I find that really painful. I'm trying to figure out if you can just repurpose different things or if you only use those for things that are timely. So we have like an online event that's next week, virtual summit that we're doing for maid services. And with that, like, Instagram stories seem to make like more sense to me. I don't know, like the only sort of, like it seems like a waste, but then the only sort of counterpoint that I have to that, and I guess I'm just playing my own devil's advocate here, is that if it's difficult for you to do, it's difficult for your competition to do, and that usually means that it's easier to stand out. So like, there's potential, but I prefer to like focus on YouTube and stuff that's like more evergreen.
Okay. Just to bounce off that.
Yeah.
If you look at the latest F8 Facebook big conference, they really insisted in content which is more private, that is not going to stay forever. So I think they are going in this direction. They had a lot of problems with stuff that was in the newsfeed and it's there forever.
Yeah.
So, and also they really pushed stories on Facebook and Instagram. So even though it's disappearing, and also it's like prime real estate in your app.
Yeah.
It's right on top of everything.
Yeah.
It's full screen content.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't underestimate this kind of content.
Yeah, so sorry, just to amend my answer just really quickly from that. Organic makes me a little bit nervous there, but I see the potential. Paid ads, I think, are genius there, because paid ads, you're absolutely right that a lot of people do watch their friends' stories and do engage there. And if you're paying a little bit of money to show up every third or fourth story and it's just there for months on end, I think that would be a really good investment if you're doing paid advertising. So, go ahead. Here.
Do some of that stuff though, but it's not.
Give her the.
Yeah. We do story stuff. Amar doesn't really input into that too much, which is why his approach is like, no, really? Is that?
Apparently it's part of our strategy. I didn't know that.
I deal with that. We do deal with that, but we do it on we take a much more throwaway approach to it, so it's like a good testing ground to see what people respond to, and then we kind of we start with stories, and then we expand things into maybe Instagram, which still feels a bit like something to play with, and then we expand from there into like Facebook and other avenues, which get a bit more traction.
Yeah, it's a testing ground for us. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on the ephemeral content stuff. It really depends. Like you really shouldn't be thinking about it unless you have a large base to begin with, like a large list, or you have a solid base that is constantly revisiting your business or your page for some reason, but there's nothing for them, like nothing for them there, and they haven't unsubscribed from your list yet, but they're kind of idle. So that's when you want to drop something ephemeral or something and sort of wake them up. Yeah, like I told them, you've got like 24 hours. It's also a case of, if you're going to do it, don't do it once. Do it to build user habits. So start creating a schedule of them or whatever. And if that is your strategy, like you want them to engage because you're having new products come back on or whatever, like in my case, what I should be doing, then it's generally a strategy. It's generally best employed where you've got a lot of eyeballs to begin with. A, you want to wake people up, or B, you want to focus an existing traffic stream around something specific.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, hey, I've actually been in your Facebook group for a few years. My sister runs a cleaning business. So I've known about you guys.
That's
for a
random.
while.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Now with that though, because your Facebook group's kind of fun because it's got all these business owners and they're talking about their everyday problems. Can you talk a little bit about your Facebook group in relation to everything you've done here? Because your Facebook group's really active. There's all the business owners in there asking questions. And so it seems like this stuff is pretty powerful in there. How does it relate?
Yeah, definitely. So for ZenMaid, we have the ZenMaid Mastermind, and so that is a group on Facebook that we started a couple of years ago. It was actually a failed experiment for me that I tried to launch I tried to launch a like paid membership site, and I launched it to the ZenMaid email list. It flopped horribly. I think we had maybe 1,000 people on our list, and I got 3 people to sign up at $19 a month. So that should tell you how good my copywriting was at the time. We essentially scrapped that idea, but we kept the Facebook group open and then slowly added people to it over time. A couple things happened that led to it sort of becoming like the premier like Facebook group or whatever. And so that Facebook group is absolutely invaluable. We now have a second one. We have the ZenMaid Inner Circle as well, which is specifically for customers. The ZenMaid Mastermind is for any maid service owners that want to participate. So in that place, that is where we get a ton of our content ideas. We see the questions that everyone is asking. Once we see the same question that's asked multiple times, it gets added to a spreadsheet or something. I don't know. The team takes care of it. It gets added somewhere, and then we have a list of different content things like to create. I will go live on Facebook, I don't know, multiple times a month to test out different like content ideas and stuff. We get feedback from that group on product improvements, stuff like that. And then, yeah, I mean, I think testing grounds is probably just the best sort of like thing for it, that I can even like, you know, we used it in the beginning that we weren't actually sure if most maid service owners referred to the cleaning clients as clients or as customers. And so we ran a quick poll on that, and most of them refer to them as clients. And so most of the places that you'll see with the ZenMaid advertising, it'll say like, keep your cleaning clients happier with like automated follow-ups. And so it's little things like that, but I mean, the little things really add up, you know? It feels like we're just inside our customers' heads like all day. So, and we tried to make that group, we tried to make that group. There are a couple other ones that are online that are a bit more serious, and our group is quite serious, but we tried to make it the place that maid service owners would want to like come back at the end of a long day. Like, yeah, it's pretty casual, right? Have a glass of wine and sit down and hang out with their industry friends that actually get their problems. Like a place that they can actually rant about, like, you know, the cleaner that's really pissing them off and is like, you know, threatening to leave if they don't get a raise and stuff like that, where you don't see that in a lot of other groups. So it's added a big like human element to everything that we do, and like honestly it's also made the entire ZenMaid team like mini celebrities within the industry. So we show up to events and a bunch of people have like seen all of our Facebook lives, and like it's a bit surreal sometimes. Like it's once a year that we go to that, but like people know, like, you know, our like chief operating officer, like it's like, why, you know? So yeah. Yep. Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi. You said in the beginning that you sort of didn't have an idea what you're doing with content, and you figured it out as you went along.
Yep.
Did you manage to track what kind of difference it made in your business that actually only came from content, like doing it properly? Or is it like more like feeling it got better, but then it was like,
yeah, it's a difficult one to really say. I mean, there's some things that I can point to that have definitely made things a lot easier. So, for example, we did a launch of the software in 2014, I think, and we had an email list at the time of maybe 1,200 people. And if we hadn't been doing any content marketing, the only people on that list would have been previous trial users. And at the time, I think we had 400 total. So essentially, we did a launch to a list 3 times the size as we would have previously. And like, you know, that like single week, I think it doubled our revenue in 1 week. Granted, this was very early on. That's not like an impressive thing like at all. But yeah, a lot of the stuff is just a lot more like difficult to say, right? It's like being recognized, it's like being trusted. You know, like what I was saying before, a lot of people feel like they already know us before they even get on a phone call with us and stuff. But a lot of it is very hard to measure. So, yeah. Good question though. It's a lot easier with paid advertising, and it's a lot easier once you already have the content created. That, like, for example, right now for ZenMaid, we'll pay a couple of dollars to send like clicks to the content that we've already created, and then we pay a couple more dollars to turn them into email addresses after that, and then 1 out of 3 of those email addresses will become paying customers through our content funnel. But it's very difficult to place like a value on the actual content that's there, right? Like I can tell you that through the funnel, but saying, oh, that article is worth $500 is not an easy thing to break down. So yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Amar. Appreciate it. Some good value there today. Just before we wrap up, I'm going to ask the Chiang Mai ambassador, Shane, to come and tell us about what events are going to be happening in Chiang Mai this weekend and week. How good was that talk, guys?
Just fantastic.
Thanks, man.
I think I've known Amar about 3 years now,
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
and he keeps coming back to Chiang Mai because he loves the place, and then he keeps going away, and it's like he's traveling around all these fantastic places, but then he keeps coming back, and this time he comes back engaged as well. So congratulations as well.
Yeah, thank you.